ask for proof. That's all I ask.
Wait, hold on a second. I have a question now. I have a question now. Did we catch Woody in a lie about Tiki Snee last week, and that's why we're talking about it now? Did Woody try to tell us, oh no, Tiki's just a quarter show sponsor, and don't worry about it.
That's
and
right.
he kept the full show money.
Trying to keep the full show money.
Damn you, Woody.
When will it be enough, Woody?
How many yachts can you water ski behind, Woody? How much is enough?
How many diamond toilets do you need to shit in? The real truth is, I usually distribute the ad money once I'm confident that the advertiser's happy and isn't going to charge back and everything. So I actually have all the Tiki Snee money. There's some truth behind this.
Oh my God.
I haven't paid everyone because I haven't delivered on the Tiki Snee contract. And once we do, then I'll feel totally comfortable knowing that, we earned it and we can keep it. It's like what I think of as an escrow account right now.
Right, an escrow account that you have direct access to, and none of us, neither of us.
I'll just I don't care.
Let's get back to Machinima. We're sorry, Tiki Snee.
I take all the money for me.
I'm reading this article, and it says Machinima is still trying to create studio content. Why are they doing this?
That I don't agree with on their business model. I don't know why, really. So it is really, really difficult to be a star, right? That's a hard thing. And not the job is hard, although it is. It's that, it's a long shot to be a star. And if you are a star, it's fleeting. You look at all the people who were big on YouTube from 2 years ago, and they're not on top of the game right now. So why Machinima wants to get into that thing, being the fleeting star, trying to constantly recreate and cast who's on top, it's just a bad business to be in. The business they should be in is agent. If you can be agent to the YouTubers and get a cut of their earnings again and again, that's where Machinima belongs to be. Go ahead, land a branded integration deal and then share it with the YouTuber. Land an advertising thing, with whatever, Mortal Kombat, Titanfall, I don't care. Place ads on Jordy's videos. Do that as a business model and you will sit here and make money forever by taking a slice of all the views that are out there and providing some value by getting the better ads than the Google filler ads would have been. The business you don't want to be in, it's tremendously expensive, and it's, even if you do knock it out big, it'll go away, is being the star. Being the star isn't where you want to be. You want to be the agent to the star, because that guy stays rich forever. The star comes and goes.
Yeah, there was a time when Machinima respawned. Machinima was the big dog on the block just a few years ago. Respawn was almost eclipsing the Machinima main channel, wasn't it? When they had Sark and Nanners and Hutch, and they were all doing that Respawn stuff. Those were huge videos, and then they got, I believe this timeline is right, then they got the Google seed money,
like break dancing in short shorts under that bridge.
I remember when they wore a T-shirt that was too small.
Way too small.
Way too small. It's like a child's T-shirt. And if you don't know, Hutch and Sark are gigantic people. They're like 6'13" or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But and then they would wear like little children's T-shirts that were like halter tops on them, and it was funny. But somehow that it doesn't last, and eventually you migrate from that to KYR Speedy, and someday they'll migrate from him to whoever's the person that will succeed him.
I think they fucked up horribly. They had PewDiePie. All they do is sell against PewDiePie. They still be in the money right now.
Well, I mean, it's hard to sell that many, to fill that many views, and also, see what happens with a lot of the big stars is someone's willing to lose money on them, right? And someone is out there paying PewDiePie, Captain Sparkles, Sky Does Minecraft. I'm just making this up. I don't know about these people specifically. Someone's probably taking a loss on them to boost their network's numbers and then get people in there that they can make a profit off of.
So, I understand this. Like, why couldn't they take somebody like PewDiePie and like put him on the Leno show, put him on, TV shows, and have him wear machinima T-shirts and things of that nature, and get paid from that instead of just for the views?
I don't know. I don't know if that's hard to do or if there's any
But
money.
even if it's hard to do, that's your fucking job. That's what you're there for. You're earning your 10-15% by doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Machinima doesn't want me sitting in my office telling them how to run their business, but I swear to God, it's not as if I know nothing about this business, and trying to be the star is expensive, and it's a long shot. Trying to be the agent to the star can be a sure thing.
Did flat rate contracts handcuff them, you think, too? That sealed, not necessarily sealed their fate, but put them on a course to bad places if they, we're going to guarantee, for those of you that don't know, a lot of early Machinima contracts, they guaranteed CPM, cost per mil, cost per thousand, and they guaranteed whatever it was, $2, whatever. And they guaranteed that. They say for every 1,000 views, you will get this. And they were banking on the fact, I think, that they could sell ads for more. And when they couldn't and had to use Google filler ads, which monetized at a much lower rate, they started losing money in crazy amounts.
That's the trouble with having like a PewDiePie on your network. It's like if you make money, you make a ton of money. But if I lose whatever, like 50 cents for every million views on PewDiePie, oh boy, that's a lot of millions. It's actually per thousand, but anyway, yeah, if I lose 50 cents for every 1,000 PewDiePie views, I'm gonna be broke. That guy gets a lot of views.
Broke in a hurry.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's what they should do.
Yeah, but they had all the biggest things. That's the point. Like, if they would have just played it smart, they could have had $1 billion.
Why do you think they lost them?
Because
Because somebody else paid more.
they're not equipped to utilize this. That's the problem.
The problem is they grew too big. Like that to me is the real problem. It takes an amazing. Like, what did they get? Was it 1 billion or 2 billion views per month? I think it was 2.
Yeah, it's something crazy.
I don't know where they are now, but I think they hit 2 billion views per month. IGN is known as having the best sales team in the business, and the IGN people, they couldn't sell 2 billion views a month either. And Machinima, not even close. So
Sounds like they should have took some of that Google filler money and bought the IGN staff.
there's no money in Google filler ads, but yeah, I guess it's hard to just.
I was talking about the seed money. Because Google
Oh,
invested
okay.
a lot of money into them.
Yes, yeah. I guess it's hard to just suddenly create the best sales team in the world. Like, all right, we're gonna go get it.
You buy them. Like, Chevrolet doesn't create engineers. The guy at Nissan over there is doing magical things. Hey, we got some money for you over here.
I don't know. I bet they do create some.
But you were a very high level guy in software, weren't you, Woody?
I guess.
When you picked a company that you wanted to work for, was it because of what they stood for or how much money they were willing to give?
It was about pay and location. Those were like the primary things. I wanted to live in the place I wanted to live, and I wanted to make money. Oh,
So
and
it's
I
like
also valued other jobs. Like, there were some places that I was looking at that, like, oh, this would be a great gig, but since this is the only company in town, screw that, because I need my company to compete with me for the entire time I work there, or compete for me.
when they signed somebody to a perpetual contract and then were threatening to sue them if they didn't perform their contract, if they wanted to break from Machinima, just the hard stone wall they put down when somebody was like, hey, I want out of this perpetual contract because it's crap, and they were like, nope, we got you. Who was making the decisions there? So you say, well, we really want to keep you around. Why? Just they really came off as just very caustic to their talent there.
It's worth noting the people that did this are no longer at Machinima. I'm sorry, Kyle. What did you say?
They come off like a Disney villain. All I've seen through those contracts that have been hit in you, I promise. I've seen a lot of them. They're all just a little bit different than the other one. And it's just a centimeter that they pull the penis out every rendition. It takes a long time to get the penis completely out of your ass. It takes volume for those contracts before they pull it all the way out.
I know. Here's what
Sometimes they won't. You just gotta get them to use protection. That's all you can do.
And lube, hopefully.
One thing that's important when you're doing a contract in this business, like if any of you are little YouTubers out there and you're signing your first, if any company really, I never knew like they're like, all right, what will give you, and I'll make up a number, between $2 and $5 per 1,000 views. I don't know if they're making $60 a view or one. They tell you they're like losing money. We're not making anything on you. We're losing on you, etc., etc. You're our loss leader. We gave you the best contract we've ever given anyone in the history of our company.
You need to lay off people to give it to you.
It's not true. Then you talk to your peers and you're like, oh, really? Best contract ever given out? Turns out wasn't to me. They said it was, but it wasn't. If they're giving out that contract to that guy, then how much money are they making off of me? Transparency would have been huge. Yep, I'd love to see that.
It's hard to get.
So read your contracts. I mean, read your contract. That reflex response that you see a lot when somebody's like, I'm unhappy with my position, and then somebody just blithely replies, well, read your contract. Well, I read it. Yeah, I read a Machinima contract, and you are obliged to do everything. Machinima is obliged to do nothing, and it's all double speak, back talk, and just all the crazy things that they put in there. It's very hard to follow. And
Can I jump in for a second?
Yeah.
So I'm trying not to come off like a douchebag right here, but I'm educated, right? I have 2 college degrees and a master's degree. I have read lots of contracts. I'm old. One of the old people's superpowers is they've read contracts and they're like, I understand what an escrow account is, right? Like that's the old person superpowers, right? Holy shit, he knows what an escrow account. I really do. When I read a Machinima contract, I need help. And that's not just Machinima, actually. Like a lot of these contracts, when I read any of these, I had a Machinima contract for like an X game thing. I think it was 27 pages long. It covered like software that was written out of this deal. It was just huge. People say read your contract, and what they really mean is hire an attorney to read that contract for you, because even I, and there's the douchebag part of it, can't read this contract very effectively. You could probably slip something by me. If you're like a young guy, like 16 years old, and you're signing your first contract, then you're in over your head and you need some help. And the like knee-jerk reaction of, well, you should have read your contract. No, man. This is a difficult contract.
Woody, does your brain get numb when you try to read the specific language of contracts? Do you just get super dulled? Because when I try to read, when I was signing with Twitch again for their partnership thing for the subscription button, I was like, all right, I'm going to read the whole thing, and I was just halfway through, I'm like, wait, what was that last paragraph? Like my eyes read it, but my brain didn't.
What I do is paragraph by paragraph write notes on gotchas. All right, here's some language that implies that they own everything having to do with what I do. Hold on, not everything I do is with Twitch. You don't get to have copyright things to my YouTube videos. And that's not a specific. It's an example, but it's not one from Twitch. I go through and I just sit there and look for stuff that I need taken out. And if I do it in bites, I can do it without going numb to it. And then sometimes I get Paintball Kitty to help me, which I recognize is not a service that everybody has, but she's fantastic. came up with like a brownie pan filled with computer and rice, saying, "Is this good?" And I said, "That's good." So if you don't know, rice sucks like moisture out of things, so she'll just bury it in rice overnight.
Just like because it attracts Asian people.
To work on that, man.
I don't think it would
You think maybe you sprinkle some rice out, you might attract some-
Why? 1, 2, 3, 4. I just got 1, 2, 3, 4.